Following up on the last video on how to run reports to see the activity of users and the name of users from the repository. In this video, we're going to look into how to get some more detailed info on your reports in your repository. Again, it's an unsupported technique. It might work, it might not work. Use on your own risk. And you might need to refresh a few things in here if you move to a newer version of WebFOCUS. So I'm currently looking into WebFOCUS 9. So in the last session, we already created all the master files that we needed to build our reports. So please check the previous video on how to run reports. So I'm going to put it into the same playlist. So we already created a bunch of master files in here in that last step, and we're going to build some reports on top of those masters now. So moving back to the repository, I got my folders in here. So I've got my administration folder, and I got a content folder in here that I'm using to build my users. So I've got a user folder. Again, we used that one to look into users last time. So now we're going to move to my content folder, and we're going to build a new report in here using Designer. And now we're going to run a report on top of the repository to see the content. So let's start with the admin folder, and we created a few things in here. So in that repository complete folder, we created the elements that we needed. So now we're going to look at our content here to see the repository content as the first starting point. So let's pick up that specific folder from the repository now. So let's pick the first table, which is actually the repository object table. So it's WF_repo, and there it is, repos obj. So we're going to start with that one. We're not going to create a visualization now. We're going to go to our prepare and extract data because we want to join an additional table. So looking at that table, actually that contains information, some internal handle information. It's going to create the creator. It's going to create the user that last accessed the element. It's going to show who modified that element. And it's got you an information on the path of the element and the technical name of the element. So to start with, actually, I want to see which of those elements are already published and unpublished. So which content in here is private content. And to do so, we have to add one more table. So the table that's got us information on published and non-published is UOA_resource. Oh, sorry. UOA_re. There it is. It's in the same folder. So I'm going to drag and drop it in here. I don't want a union. I want to join it. So as you see, no result. That's because we have to determine the fields. So click on that join thing, hit the edit, and now we have to join the right fields and the one that we need. So on the right-hand side, actually, the name field is already pretty good, but on that side here, we don't want to use the class name. We want to use the name of the object. So that one is the OBJ name. That's the right one. So moving to that one now, you're going to see, hey, there's a result set that we get. So you can see, depending if you're going to do a left join, it's going to exclude a bunch of reports. If we do a right, it's going to lose a few. And if we move to a different one, so we can do the left, the right, or actually we can also in here use a left outer join, which is the most important one. So it's going to get us all the objects, including the ones that are published and the ones that are not published. So that's the setting in here. So keep that one, hit OK. And we're going to move on. So now you can move back to visualization because we got our tables joined. Actually, in here, it doesn't help too much to have dimension and measures in here. So you might want to change in here and leave that split thing because there are no measures and dimensions defined yet. So now we got the technical orientation. So it's the repository table and the resource table. And to make it easy to use, I'm going to go for a table. So in here now, I might want to see something like the name of the element. So I'm going to go for the resource name, which might be interesting, but I might also want to go for something else, which is going to be the object name, which is the name of my facts, my report in specific. I want to see the path. So I'm going to make it easier to find where it is. I might want to change the order, so I'm going to get all the elements by path. Actually, I want to add the last modified and the created by. So I want to know who created it and who modified it. So I'm going to see the person that modified and created it. A few like those global folders are owned by a technical user WebFOCUS because they're not created by a user. So interesting thing, I can use those things to figure out when it was created. So it's information in here when it was last accessed. So I can see when that element was used for the last time. I can see when it was created. And actually to get the information on the published status, that's what I get from the UOA resources, because there's an element in here that's going to help us to determine if that element is published or if it's unpublished. So keep in mind, it's not unpublished or published as an element. If you go for owner type and you add owner type as the last element in here, you can see a few elements get a U in here, which means those are unpublished and the other ones stay blank. So if I want to get a list of unpublished elements, private content, I can easily now, my unpublished here, my U, I can go for the owner type in here. And that's going to be the thing I want to actually do some filtering on as well. So I can add that one to the filter bar now. And I can set it to unknown. So that's a list of unpublished elements in the system and who created it, who modified it for the last time, which is the same person usually if it's unpublished, or at least most of the time. And I can also go for those elements. So I might want to go for the I elements as well. So I can go for that I. Let's see what we get as an I. Those are the elements that are marked as internally at the end. So there's actually, as you see, a little bit of information that might be interesting as well to look at, because those elements are not published as well. So you can see in here, actually, those elements are internal only because they are folders for users. So actually, if you want to go for the information that is unpublished, select the U, and I got a list of all my unpublished assets and where they reside and where they are. So of course I can add my user as well. So I've got something like my created by user. So let's add created by in here. So now I can select all my users. So I want to go for Patrick. Select Patrick. I'm going to, so those are the items created by myself, where they are and when they were changed for the last time. So easy, straightforward way to find out where are all the unpublished information on that system. Okay, that's it. And by the way, you're not only going to see reports, you're also going to see pages. You're also going to see something like the SCH in here, which is a report caster schedule. So you could also add additional information in here. So I add something like the object type in here. I can see the object type. And to get some more details on the object type, the object type 109 is a fax. I could also link the table that displays the object type if I want to get a filter on the object type, or I just can simple filter on that ID if it's just for a quick usage in here. So you see, it's a number, so it's setting it as sum. If you don't like that sum, make sure you set filter on detail. So now we're on those numbers. So, okay, I can now go to 109. So I only will see 109s. So looking at them, we're now at 109. Okay, keep in mind, I've got it as a summary, which is stupid. So let's put it back here. So we got the type. So now we see all the faxes on the system that are actually unpublished. If I only want to see the schedules, I can easily filter in here as well. So you're going to see 113 is the schedule. So if I want to see all the unpublished report caster jobs, I'm going to go for 113. And that's a list of all my report caster schedules and their location that are unpublished on the system. If you like my videos, just subscribe it and yeah, leave a comment if you want to. Thank you.